This week has been an important one in the path of this physics class. We are getting closer to project time every class. This can be seen in all we've been doing using video analysis and graphical analysis. We also started to delve deeper into the sources and objects acting on one another. I also went over what Newton's 3 laws are and how to think Newtonian. What I did this week was some of the more pertinent stuff as for the project so far. We started by, again, taking various graphs of position versus time and converting them to velocity versus time and also acceleration versus time. When we finished that activity, we looked at some masterfully drawn pics that David made to represent certain situations. Then we decided what object was putting more or less or equal force on other objects. After that, we went over Newton's third laws and what they mean. The next class, we went outside to do our preliminary rocket car test runs. A storm blew in, so we took what video we had and used it to further increase our ability to use Logger Pro. After video analysis, Dave talked about different types of graphical analysis that we will be using. I gained a lot of knowledge this week. I'm finally in control of how to convert a position versus time to a velocity versus time graph. I also learned the nature of forces being described as the interaction of two objects. Forces are equal when two objects interact with one another. It is the acceleration that is the difference. I also gained new perspective on Newton's laws. The laws being inertia, acceleration, and reciprocity. I used to think of number 3 as for every action there is equal yet opposite reaction, but it is more about the shared effect of forces. I also had a way of thinking change with the relationship between weight, mass, and density. In my head, mass and weight had always been closely related. The truth is that mass doesn't change, and weight is just the measure of gravity on an object. So effectively, for scientific purposes, we don't weigh items, we mass them. I still need to learn all the diagrams and representations necessary for the project. I have had to leave class early this last class, so hopefully someone took good notes. I also need to get a better handle on Logger Pro. I understand basically what it shows, but how do I apply that to my project? Another thing I need to do is continue to think Newtonian. So this was a productive week. 2 groups got to test their cars before the storm blew up. At least this will give the class some data to use when it comes to running their own tests. Everything needed for the final parts of the project are slowly coming together. We're just learning them in baby steps. This is a good thing if you ask me. This way our heads aren't flooded with too much at once, and we are able to digest what we need before being fed more until we just throw it up later. This approach is much better, isn't it?